of gang violence and self-esteem issues, and we are here to tell you that gang violence is something that plagues the United States of America today, and it strikes fear into the hearts of law-abiding citizens, haunts our streets with violence, and is putting our children in their graves. Gang violence not only affects the victim but also the gang member. Violence in general is something that has a very emotional impact on both the victim and those who are violent. For the violent person, rampant violence hardens you to what you really are doing. Also, when you get involved in violence, you feel that this kind of behavior is acceptable. Also, whether or not you feel like violence affects you, it does. Constantly watching people being attacked wears on your mind. So, I mean, if you're like constantly getting involved in violence or you see it happening, I mean, you become numb to that just like you become numb to anything. I mean, if you get used to it, you're around it enough. I mean, just like, they're talking about teenage drinking. If you drink every day or something, I mean, eventually you're going to get used to that and you're going to start drinking every day. Just like if you're in a gang and you say, beat somebody up every day or rob somebody every day, I mean, then that's going to become nothing to you and you're going to end up doing it. It's going to become a habit. It's also going to, affect you mentally because that's not normal. You're not supposed to think these things are normal.
All right, so there are other effects that gang violence messes up our society with. One large effect would be a strong social impact. Social gang violence impacts cities by creating fear to the point where you fear to go outside. Also, crime goes hand in hand with gangs. Gangs create an environment of fear, temptation, crime, and violence. If we analyze cities like Detroit, Michigan, we find that the gang violence is higher here than anywhere else in the U.S. Detroit is still ranked #1 most dangerous city in the U.S. The violent crime rate is 2,072 violent crimes per 100,000 people. When you hear the word Detroit, you most likely instantly think of crime. These are the effects of gang violence. Yep.
Self-esteem's issue is yet another thing that plagues citizens of the United States. There's a long number of bad things that can stem from self-esteem issues. The things such as depression, sustained abuse, even gang violence can come out of the low self-esteem. There are plenty of people out there with low self-esteem. Many people who suffer from low self-esteem. That tend often depression. God never intended for us to have a low self-esteem. We are creation. We are His creation, and He wants us to take pride in who we are.
And then I have some statistics.
Yes.
About gangs and junk. So.
You speak, Andrew.
Do I now?
You go.
I am. It's right here. Well, why are you looking on that? But anyway, so 100% of cities with a population more than 250,000 report gang activity. So I mean that's most cities, that are at least that. And 11% of rural counties report gang activity, which is kind of crazy because you'd expect urban environments to have more gang violence, but it happens in rural areas too. I hate that word. So 35% of suburban counties report gang activity, so that's more obviously just because it happens more in cities, like I said. More than half of the homicides reported in Los Angeles and more than half of the homicides reported in Chicago are related to gang violence, which is actually pretty surprising because that's a lot of numbers. More than 24,500 gangs are active in the U.S. 772,500 people are members of gangs in the U.S. So I guess that's a rough number. I don't see how you can do that. And 94% of gang members are male. So that's what I got.
That's it.
Pretty interesting stuff.
We taught you about gang violence.